The first thing that I would tell you, if you are struggling with debt, or if you feel that you may be struggling with debt, don't bury your head in the sand. I've spent over 30 years in finance, both in the US and in the UK, and I've seen how quickly things can spiral out of control. And it usually comes down to just a few key mistakes. It could be the loss of a job, health issues, just a few things can just make things all go wrong. But please do not bury your head in the sand. Life. I can't tell you how many times as a bank manager, I've had clients that are coming in for an appointment, and either the wife or the husband will call in advance and say, listen, don't discuss that credit card I have. Today, I'm going to be talking about debt. I'm going to be talking about some solutions if you have debt. But most importantly, I'm going to be explaining debt consolidation. Debt goes beyond bank statements. It impacts health, peace of mind, and relationships, with money issues linked to 42% of UK divorces. Debt consolidation can ease stress and finances if used wisely. So I'll tell you the do's, the don'ts, the pros, the cons, but the success depends on how early you action things, honest conversations, and professional guidance. So, my name is Anthony Lindsay, and I've been in finance for over 30 years. Now, one of the key things about my experience is I did debt collections and pre litigation for about a decade. So, I probably forgotten more about debt and collections and credit than most people know. I'm going to explain debt consolidation. So, debt consolidation, putting all the debts you already have in one place. So, it's combining multiple debts such as credit cards, personal loans, and overdrafts into a single, more manageable loan, sometimes secured against your home. We will be talking about debt consolidation for homeowners. If you're not a homeowner, a lot of the things that I'll be saying will not apply to you. You'll need to do a personal loan, which, if you've waited until too late, might not be possible. Keep in mind, you're not taking on new debt. Instead, you're restructuring the debt you already owe, usually at a lower interest rate and with one clear payment. I'm going to explain the difference between revolving credit and fixed term credit. A credit card is what they call revolving credit. So you can withdraw the money, you can use it, then you pay it off. Your minimum payment is a percentage of the total balance. It's not a fixed payment every month, and therefore you don't have a fixed end date. And this can be part of the trap for a lot of people because they're able to make their monthly payments on their credit card. They feel that they don't have a problem, but they're only making the minimum payment. They're just renting the debt. And that's one of the things I learned when I worked in collection, is that whole concept of you have a debt that you're renting because you owe £5,000. And by making the minimum payment, it's never really going down. So debt consolidation could be a route to securing a better future and reducing the stress both on you and in your relationship. As someone who has dealt with people who are dealing with debt, late payments, CCJs, defaults, pending repossessions, it can feel lonely. You don't want to open your mail. You don't want to pick up the phone. It's a really horrible, dark feeling place. But don't go into isolation and don't ignore the phone calls. Don't not open the letters. As someone who's worked in debt collections for over a decade, I will tell you, despite what the TikTok videos will say, banks aren't out to get you. They're not trying to put you in debt, and they're not trying to take your home. They do want to help you, but they can only help you if you speak to them. Every bank that I've ever worked for has a department that's set up specifically to support people that feel that they may be having problems or are having problems currently. The worst thing you can do is ignore the calls and ignore the letters. Because guess what? They'll keep calling and they'll keep sending letters until they reach a point where it goes into legal action. So have the conversation, explain the situation. They are there to help you. Be realistic, be honest, and you will find that the calls will reduce, the letters will reduce because you'll have some type of payment arrangement with them, and they'll understand the situation and they'll be working with you to help resolve the situation. I know it can feel like a lonely place, but no matter how overwhelming it seems, there's always hope and light at the end of the tunnel. You might say, Anthony, you're just some guy on YouTube. You have no idea what I'm going through. Trust me, I've heard pretty much every story in 10 years of talking to tens of thousands of people, both in the US and the UK. The key is to take action because even small steps forward can change everything. So just picking up that phone call, opening that letter and responding to the invitation to the conversation with the creditor can make a huge difference. Trust me. So, debt dues, things that you should do. Be proactive. Act early before payments are missed. Don't always think, oh, well, money's going to fall out of the sky, so I'm not going to do anything now. Do whatever you need to do early, have the conversation early. So, do be proactive. Create a budget, track your income, outgoings, and debt repayments. So, be proactive, be honest with yourself. Don't bury your head in the sand. Understand what your financial future looks like. Even if it looks grim, by understanding it and being proactive, you can make the positive steps that you need to make sure that you don't end up in a situation where you have few or no options. Talk openly with your partner, your family, and a financial professional. Have the conversation. The conversation will feel like, oh, it's so embarrassing. I don't want to do this. But definitely you will feel better and you'll be in a better position once your partner knows. Because if it's something they don't know, then you're carrying that around, you're hiding, you're rushing to the mailbox to make sure that they don't see that letter. If you speak to a financial professional, they'll help you come up with a plan. It can take 3-4 months to get into really bad debt. It may take 4 years to get out of it, but you need a plan. So speak to a professional. Prioritize the essentials. So housing, food, utilities come first. So when you do an income expenditure report, so if you do speak to someone about debt, they're going to have you fill in an income expenditure report. They'll prioritize the things you have to pay. And then there'll be other things that they will say, well, these are things that need to be paid, but they're not as high priority as your rent and electricity. Seek professional guidance from a broker or debt charity. The videos that I make are not designed to replace speaking to a professional. They're to open up the conversation that when you speak to a professional, you can understand some of the concepts that they're talking to you about. I'm not giving financial advice, legal advice, or tax advice, but I am advising you if you are struggling with your debt to speak to a professional. Debt don'ts. So things not to do. Don't ignore the letters or calls. Problems only grow if left alone. So I've been there. Trust me, I understand. I've talked to tens of thousands of people in this situation. You think that, oh, this person is going to judge me. This person's going to put me down. They're not. They're there to help. Not answering the calls, not opening the letters just will generate more calls because it's an automatic dialing system. And every time you don't pick up, it just reschedules the call. But when you have the conversation, what you'll find is they'll usually put a hold on the next call. It might be 7 days, 10 days, it might even be a month. There are regulations around debt collections. And if they've talked to you, they can't just keep calling you. So make sure you have the conversation. When you get a letter, open it and action it. Don't borrow to cover daily living costs. It's a warning sign. Don't rely on minimum payments. Balances barely reduce. We've talked about that. If you're just making your minimum payments and that's all you can afford and that's all you'll ever be able to afford, then you need to speak to someone potentially about a debt consolidation loan. Don't hide debts from your partner. Be open, be honest. It can be hard, but if you start the relationship by laying everything out on the table, it will make it easier as things progress. Don't assume consolidation is always the best answer. We've talked about the pros, we've talked about the cons, we've talked about the do's, and now we're talking about the don'ts. So make sure that you weigh the pros and cons, have a meaningful conversation with a professional. My name is Anthony Lindsay, and hopefully you found this information very helpful. If you know someone that is struggling with debt, or if you're struggling with debt, or if you just have a community where you can share this video, that you can get the information to people that you may think everything is fine with, please share this video. My name is Anthony Lindsay. That's my booking link. If you need to speak to me about a mortgage, you can reach out to me. I can help you with debt consolidation, mortgages, remortgages, commercial bridging, anything that you need. I will always put you as the customer first. I'm not here to sell things. And I want to make sure that you always make informed choices that are what's best for you and your family.